When we talk about anxiety, depression, PTSD, and Cptsd, most conversations today start at the surface. They talk about symptoms, they talk about diagnosis, they talk about management. So Ayurveda begins somewhere very different here. It begins by asking not what is wrong with you, but what has been disturbed in the natural intelligence of your system. Because from an Ayurvedic perspective, anxiety, depression, PTSD, and CPTSD are not personal failures. They are not character flaws. They are not signs of weakness. They're signals. Signals that the nervous system has been living in conditions it was never meant to live in for this long. Ayurveda understands the human being as an integrated field of body, mind, senses, nervous system, digestion, and consciousness. So nothing is isolated, nothing is accidental, nothing arises without a cause. So when we see anxiety, what we are seeing is movement without grounding. When we see depression, we're seeing heaviness without flow. When we see trauma, PTSD, or CPTSD, we're seeing the nervous system trapped in time. So Ayurveda has always understood this. So long before modern trauma language existed, we understood this in Ayurveda. So in Ayurvedic psychology, the mind isn't abstract. The mind is a function of the doshas. These doshas are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So each of these, when they're disturbed, they create very specific mental and emotional patterns. So we can begin with anxiety here. So anxiety in Ayurveda is almost always a Vata condition. Vata governs movement, like the nervous system, breath, thought, imagination, anticipation, fear. So when Vata is balanced, there's creativity, adaptability, intuition, and a sense of lightness. And when Vata is aggravated, the same qualities turn into anxiety, panic, racing thoughts, insomnia, fear, dissociation, and instability. An anxious mind is not a weak mind. It is a mobile mind without containment, and that's very crucial. Most people with anxiety are not too sensitive. They are under-resourced. They are running high voltage awareness through an ungrounded system. And from an Ayurvedic lens, anxiety arises when the nervous system has lost rhythm. Routine has been disrupted. Safety has been compromised. The body no longer trusts the environment. And that can happen through trauma, through chronic stress, through financial instability, through relational unpredictability, through long periods of hypervigilance. And once Vata is disturbed, the mind has a very difficult time being at rest. It scans, it anticipates, it prepares. And this is not pathology. This is survival intelligence that never got to stand down. So, with depression is in Ayurveda is usually related to kapha imbalance. Sometimes it's combined with Vata collapse. But kapha governs structure, stability, nourishment, emotional bonding, and cohesion. So when kapha is balanced, there is steadiness, love, patience, emotional security. And when kapha becomes excessive or stagnant, there is heaviness, withdrawal, lethargy, numbness, and despair. So depression is not sadness alone. It is loss of movement. In many people, depression is what happens after long-term anxiety. The nervous system burns out, Vata exhausts itself, and the system collapses into heaviness. This is why so many people cycle between anxiety and depression. Ayurveda understands this cycle deeply. Anxiety is too much movement without grounding, and depression is too much grounding without movement. Neither is the enemy, and both are signs of imbalance. And when we talk about PTSD and CPTSD, trauma is not what happened to you. Trauma is what did not get to complete in your nervous system. With Ayurveda, we recognize this through the concept of samskaras. Samskaras are impressions left on the mind and nervous system by experience, not just psychological impressions, okay? Physiological impressions as well, energetic impressions. When something overwhelming occurs and the system doesn't have the capacity to process it, the experience doesn't finish. It remains stored. And in Ayurveda, unresolved samskaras disturb vata first. The nervous system remains alert. Sleep is disturbed. Digestion is disturbed. Breath becomes shallow. Thought loops develop. Though in PTSD, the system is stuck in high activation. In Cptsd, which involves repeated relational or developmental trauma, the system oscillates between hyperactivation and collapse. So Ayurveda doesn't pathologize this. It recognizes it as a nervous system that adapted to survive. The problem isn't the adaptation. The problem is that the adaptation became permanent. So what does Ayurveda do differently? Ayurveda doesn't start by trying to change thoughts. It starts by stabilizing the body and nervous system, because a dysregulated nervous system cannot think its way into safety. Safety must be experienced at the level of the body. This is why Ayurveda treatment always begins with foundations: daily rhythm, sleep timing, warmth, regular meals, digestive fire. When digestion is weak, the mind cannot be stable. This is not metaphorical, this is literal. So Agni, the digestive fire, it governs clarity, assimilation, and discrimination. A weak Agni creates mental fog, emotional heavinesses, and instability. So the first step in Ayurvedic healing for anxiety, depression, PTSD, and Cptsd is not deep emotional excavation. It is containment. We build the nervous system's capacity first. And this may look very simple, but it's very profound. Consistent wake-up time, consistent meals, warm-cooked food, spices that calm vata and kapha, reduction of stimulants, reduction of cold, raw, erratic inputs, oil massage, abhyanga. This is not luxury. This is nervous system medicine. Warm oil applied daily to the body sends a signal of safety to the nervous system that words can't. Breath regulation, not breath forcing, not breath control. Gentle lengthening of the exhale. The exhale is how the nervous system learns it can let go. It needs herbal support like ashwagandha for nervous system resilience, brahmi for mental clarity and calm, jatamansi for deep nervous system settling. We need all of these herbs, and they don't suppress systems. They're the symptoms here. They nourish depleted systems. And this is important. Ayurveda doesn't seek to numb, it seeks to restore intelligence. Now, what about therapy and emotional processing? Ayurveda is not opposed to modern therapy. It understands it's something that many modalities miss, though. You cannot process trauma faster than the nervous system can tolerate. An Ayurvedic practitioner works alongside emotional work by increasing capacity. So that processing, it becomes organic, not overwhelming. This is why some people feel worse after certain therapeutic approaches. They're asked to revisit experiences without sufficient containment. So Ayurveda restores containment first. Only then does release occur naturally. And the most important thing here is that we have expansion beyond these conditions. So Ayurveda ultimately does not see anxiety, depression, PTSD, and Cptsd as identities. They are states of imbalance. They are conditions of the mind-body system, not who you are. At the deepest level, Ayurveda is rooted in consciousness. Awareness itself is never anxious, never depressed, never traumatized. The nervous system carries impressions. Awareness witnesses them. Healing is not becoming a different person. Healing is the gradual restoration of trust in life and in oneself. So as the system stabilizes, something profound happens. The identity organized around survival begins to soften. The need to manage every moment relaxes, and a deeper intelligence emerges. And it's not spiritual bypass, it's embodiment. As an Ayurvedic practitioner, my role is not to fix you, it's to help restore balance so your own intelligence can function again. So through assessment of doshic patterns, through personalized routines, through tailored herbal support, through nervous system education, through reframing experience without judgment. And if you are living with anxiety, depression, PTSD, or Cptsd, just hear this clearly. There is nothing wrong with you. Your system adapted intelligently to conditions that were not safe, not predictable, and are not supportive. Ayurveda offers a path that is gentle, grounded, and deeply respectful of your pace. Not symptom chasing, not suppression, not endless analysis, but restoration. And from that restoration, something happens. You are no longer defined by what happened. You're no longer trapped in patterns that once kept you alive. You begin to live again. So if this resonates with you, if you feel your nervous system responding just by hearing this, that's not imagination, it's recognition. And if you would like support through an Ayurvedic lens, through assessment, personalized guidance, herbal support, nervous system restoration, this is the work I do. You do not have to do this alone, and you do not have to fight yourself to heal. Thank you for being here. Namaskar.